Welcome back to Face the Nation. Joining us now is Donald Trump's convention manager, Paul Manafort. Donald Trump calls himself the presumptive nominee. So what plans are you making for the general election?
Well, right now we're starting to focus on unifying the party, beginning to talk to party leaders about the things that are necessary going into Cleveland. Because the first thing we have to do is have a successful convention. We've got a series of meetings that we're planning starting after Tuesday, after the Indiana primary, when we believe everybody in the country will recognize that Donald Trump will be the nominee of the party, and that nomination will be clear by certainly California. And as a result, the whole strategy of Ted Cruz of a second ballot will have been rendered not true.
In terms of funding a general election, Mr. Trump has talked a lot about how he's self-funded. Will he be able to maintain that through a general?
Well, he's been a candidate running for the nomination. Once he is the nominee of the Republican Party, he has further responsibilities besides his own candidacy, where he is the head of the ticket, and where he is committed to making sure that Nancy Pelosi is never Speaker of the House again, and that Harry Reid and Chuck Schumer remain in the minority of the Senate. So he's indicated that he'd be willing to is going to work with leaders of the Republican Party and the various committees to help raise money for them as part of the overall ticket.
In terms of that funding, either for the overall ticket or for himself, will he have any restrictions on the kind of money that comes in? He's talked a lot about people who write checks and what they expect in return.
We haven't dealt with that. Certainly, as if he is going to be getting money from donors as general election candidate, there are limitations, but we haven't dealt with that issue yet.
But will he add any extra limitations? Not the amount per se, but from who they come from and that kind of thing.
Well, we have not gotten into the point of what kind of money we're going to be raising. What he has indicated is that he would help the Republican Party, he would help the congressional committees, and he would do things that are necessary for them to make sure that Pelosi and Reid do not ever come back to the majority in the Congress.
He has talked about a potential running mate being somebody who could help him with governing. What does that mean?
Well, I think he views himself as the ultimate outside candidate, and his connection with the American people has been that he's not one of the people who've messed up the system. The gridlock that exists in Washington is not what he is participating in creating. And when you look at things he's done as an outsider in New York, where he's busted through bureaucracy and red tape, he's saying that on the issues that are important to his presidency, he will not be restricted by the limitations of Washington. Yet he also recognizes that to implement that vision, he will need the help of other people.
Let me ask you to respond to Ted Cruz, who said that his campaign is the essence of Washington insiderness. He talked about you, a lobbyist, being in the campaign. How is Donald Trump an outsider candidate, Ted Cruz would say, when he's got a lobbyist who's his convention manager?
I haven't lobbied in 20 years in Washington. I'm a businessman now, haven't been active in the Washington scene for many, many years. Donald Trump is going to be the president of the United States. It's his vision that's going to be what's going to be implemented in the presidency. Ted Cruz, besides being very unpopular in Washington, is the one running the conventional campaign. He's the one trying to create alliances like you would see in Washington with other candidates running for office, and then he repudiates his own alliances. I mean,
is lobbyist a bad word these days? Cruz and Trump use it as a bad word. Is lobbyist a bad word?
I think what's more important to Cruz is that he defines himself, not is defined by other things or other people. And I don't know whether it's a bad word or a good word, but Donald Trump's point is he's the outsider. Ted Cruz is the one who's been part of the mess in Washington, and Ted Cruz is the one who has no friends in Washington and won't be able to do anything.
Because one of the things that's been striking about the Trump campaign is he has gone repeatedly about lobbyists, saying they're destroying the country. He said repeatedly his opponents are captives of the lobbyists. So it seems like it's central to his campaign that lobbyists are destroying this country.
Well, I think he broadens it beyond lobbyists. I think he's talked about special interests. Special interests aren't just lobbyists. They're as he calls it, the rigged banking system, the rigged economy. It's much broader. It's the culture of Washington where the gridlock exists regardless of what's in the interest of the people. As Carly Fiorina said when she was running against Ted Cruz, he'll say anything to get elected, and no matter where it is in the country, you can't rely on what he says. And this is just another attack of his similar to that.
If Donald Trump's president, will lobbyists be out of business, do you think?
I think people will be out of business will be the people who oppose the interests of the people.
So would that be lobby?
It could be. I mean, I don't. Again, I'm not going to get into discussing that. I've not been a part of that scene for 20 years. Donald Trump is campaigning on something that's important to him as far as breaking through the gridlock of Washington, and he's going to bring people in who have not been a part of the problem. That's what he said.
What do you think about his comments about Hillary Clinton? She's only gotten as far as she's gotten because she's a woman. That makes a lot of Republicans nervous about
Well, the point he was trying to make, among the others, was that she's a failed Secretary of State. She's a part of the Obama administration. Right now, we haven't seen any groundswell for a third term for Obama, and that's what a Clinton presidency would be. And the point he was making is, that's the way she needs to be viewed. She needs to be viewed as part of the mess that exists in Washington and part of in a continuation of the crisis if she were ever to be elected.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Paul Manafort. Thanks so much for being with us.